The Whine and Cheese show is a Metaverse and NFT discussion interview series brought to you by Upland Development United and the host BEN68 and Morecheese. Warning, the information and opinions within are solely the views of the individuals involved, contains content not suitable for anyone.
Good day, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 17 of the Whine and Cheese and the Metaverses show. I'm Mars, Utah, and today BEN68 and Morecheese chatted with me, the Director of Imagination for several NFT projects. Chatted. Hopefully they didn't grill me too hard. We'll see here. So unfold the table, climb to the top ropes, get ready to body slam the very last episode of the year of the worst show ever.
Whine and Cheese. Time for Whine and Cheese. Whine and Cheese. Time for Whine and Cheese. Cheese. One is a wanker, one's slinging stumps. One's from Australia, one's from the Bronx. Talking about the Metaverse and NFTs. Interviewing all the real crypto G's.
Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to the worst show ever, the last episode of the year. Not the last episode. Don't get too excited. We're on episode 17. Then we're going to take a break. We have an amazing guest on today. Saved the best for last, Mr. Mars, Utah.
Oh man, that's quite the entrance. I don't know. I wonder if somebody was behind me. Oh, thanks. Happy to be here with you guys.
No, I think it was Morecheeese dropped your name as a potential last one, and we're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Like I said, I watched the show, so I was more than happy to come in. It's been a long time since we chatted, Ben, so it should be a good time.
Well, thanks for the support.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, always love your art. So we drop it around and mix it in, and it's like I said, one of these days we'll get that idea for a show that I talked about with you, and get some more of your art out there.
Yeah, and let me know if you ever need help with that. Oh my God, that would be amazing. But first, Ben wants to schmooze.
Well, yeah, I've got a lot to pick your brain about, but we'll do our little schmoozy bit at the start. Morecheeese and I have taken to finding a few interesting articles that are about the metaverse or what's happening around, and I came up with a couple that I found this morning. The first one kind of got me laughing. We can see that here. Hopefully it's in the Rolling Stone. Would you pay to be buried in a metaverse cemetery?
Well, yeah.
Virtual memorials offer a digital reminder of loved ones, even though there's still a few kinks to be worked out. So what do you reckon? You sign up for that?
It's a kinky cemetery? What do you say?
You went to the wrong place.
I don't know what that says, but I instantly thought about that being an interesting choice of words for that writer, for that same reason. I don't know. I mean, obviously they have to pay up front, right? Or are we writing into this into our will now? You bury me in Decentraland or whatever?
Yeah, well, that's essentially what I thought it was first, but on reading that again, reminder of loved ones. So this seems to be like if you had a spouse or a loved one that passed on, then you do like a secondary thing in the metaverse afterwards. Although I think when I first read the headline, yeah, I was the same thought. You're kind of front loading your own demise almost.
Yeah, that's the only way they could really do it.
Yeah.
Don't want to pass off those metaverse burial bills to the kids, You got a plan for it.
Well, we have talked about that for a while now. Within the Upland economy for a while, there's been a lot of talk about having, I forget what the terminology was they used. Was it legacy or something?
I think so, yeah, where you name someone and your account passes on to them if you're inactive for a certain amount of time, or you go through the Bermuda Triangle or whatever happens.
I call it the hit by the bus factor. That's what I've been referring it to. Because, we've seen there's numerous players now with accounts worth, $500,000 pretty much. Myself alone, my account's over 100 million UpX worth now. It's not something you just want to see just disappear, but it very easily could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot in this world that we still have to figure out, like I said, when we get into the metaverse, it's all fun and games. You really get down to it, and you have to learn, figure out how to solve all these problems that follow into the real world. So yeah, maybe you just build a metaverse tombstone instead of keeping the Facebook account going. No, I don't know. Seems to be about the same sentiment, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I know Cheese has kind of had conversations with her husband, and I've had conversations with my wife as to, like, if something should ever happen and we suddenly disappear, then just reach out. And, obviously if I was to get hit by the bus, then my wife would reach out to Cheese and she'd talk her through it, and vice versa. Is that something you've put any thought into? Like, you're heavily invested in NFTs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do have the password secured, and recently Venus and I did get married, so it is legal and official too. So if I were to get hit by a bus, it would be her problem. So no, yeah, I have that all set up, and luckily Hans from Our Planet, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a moderator and does a lot of things for those guys and a bunch of other crypto accounts, but he's a real life friend of mine. He's one of the main reasons that I got here. And so Venus and his significant other are friends. So luckily he would be able to walk her through not getting kicked out of our house.
Yeah, well, it's a very real concern, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's a picture here. It says, when a gamer died of COVID-19 last year, other players organised this memorial march inside Final Fantasy, what's that, 14? Is that how you read that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think so. It's been a while.
So, as far as I know, like, I do know there have been players, especially from the very OG San Francisco minting club within Upland, that I believe have met their demise through whatever means. That was kind of before the community has really kicked off, exploded. Like, a lot of us have been kicking around now for well over a year. I just happened to look through our DMs before Mars, and we first got talking in October 2020. I was trying to pimp out one of my financial district collections to you.
Oh man, it took that long, huh?
Yeah.
You're
so
savage.
a lot of us have, formed really strong friendships and that sort of stuff. And especially yourself, like, you're somebody who's taken the kind of online friendships. Like, I've seen that you've had face-to-face meetups through, what was it? It was Metaverse via Green Rabbit or something like that?
Yeah, well, when the first Green Rabbit event, everybody went out to California for that kickoff party. And at that point, basically 4/5 of Metaverse was, with Green Rabbit. So, so we all went out there as part of that event. But yeah, it basically turned into a de facto Metaverse meetup as well. And we all rolled into the party as one unit, and had some pictures taken on the red carpet together. And Mixplick actually showed up, since he is the 5th member in the comic book and he lives out there, so he showed up with us, and so we had the full force there. So it was a good time. But yeah, it is for me. I started out with people real world who were in the metaverse, and when we first started in Upland, I dreamt up the Red Planet Inc. So, I have some real people there. But gosh, I'm rambling, and I forgot where I was supposed to be going with this funeral that's sitting in front of me, Ben.
Yeah, no, I guess it's just blurring the lines between kind of the real world and the metaverse kind of world.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we met up in real life, and it was odd, I will say, in the hotel, knocking on the door and having Left House open it from the other side was an interesting point in time, after we had probably spent, a few hundred hours on YouTube together and working together. And also the fact that he's a 6'7" human is a little startling, since I'm used to being taller than everyone. But yeah, it is blurry. And when you, I guess it is a valid question. Life does happen for real, and people, will pass away and disappear from the metaverse.
Absolutely. And this is kind of an interesting point here. I know this is a problem. I imagine this is a very real problem in New York, and it's definitely a problem in Japan. And it's also becoming a problem in Australia, where it says, as the world continues to run out of burial space, a new option for memorializing loved ones presents itself. NFT designers are developing metaverse cemeteries. So while you might not be able to pick a nice spot where you're going to be buried or have your ashes put in the real world, you might be able to pick out a prime location where you're going to be, memorialized in the metaverse.
Well, to be honest, I never wanted to be buried anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want, it's just weird to me. Just burn me and throw me somewhere. Or I would have, I told Solly, if we strike it rich and I'm able to kind of choose, I would say put me on a floating kind of small iceberg in the Antarctic. Kind of put me in a waving position as if I'm waving away from everyone, and then just push me into the water, and then I'll feed the polar bears, the seals,
the sea lice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be useful.
Very Titanic-ish.
Gosh. How about yourself, Mars? Have you ever thought about that? Are you going to be cremated or buried? What's your preference?
Probably should think about it more. It's a little heart-wrenching. I'm somewhat kidding, but we have a long family bloodline in my area, and we did have a family cemetery, but I've been shut out of it. So I might just launch myself into space like Hunter S. Thompson.
That's cool.
Awesome.
See if Johnny Depp will help me out like he did for him.
Nice. I was
I don't
very
know if you
much
heard about that one. He spent Johnny Depp spent about $10 million launching Hunter S. Thompson into space, his ashes
cool.
into space.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
I like the idea of somebody digging me up 150 years, 300 years from now and making a soup bowl out of my skull. I kind of like that idea.
Hey, you should ship your body to those cannibal areas.
Oh, off the coast of, what is it? Sri Lanka or somewhere, that little island.
Bon appetit tattoo on your chest.
There you go.
I guess I don't have strong feelings because I won't really know what's happening, I don't think.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if there's anything more in there, but that was a kind of
when I saw
an
this
interesting
article
take.
of yours, I thought there was an area that you can go to, press a button, and you kind of see a pre-recorded, for lack of a better word, ghost of your partner who passed away, giving you a message that they've pre-recorded. What do they call those things where they had Michael Jackson on stage?
Holograms.
Holograms.
Yeah, they've gotten creepy good.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
I would record for my husband, hey, sexy bitch, tell me about your day. He could come there anytime he wants to talk. He just presses the button.
I just have to make Star Wars jokes like Leia.
That's the best way to think about it.
It's definitely interesting. And we've seen that with various parades within Upland. It's the Thanksgiving Day parade. It was the Halloween parade. You could see if there was somebody significant in the community that happened to move on, then, you could almost envision something like that going forward.
Show up for this funeral and we'll give you some spark.
Get a Block Explorer.
I'm you're not giving me anything? I'll just sleep through it.
Unfortunately, there probably would be some people with that sentiment out there. Wait, we don't get anything for
me?
Yeah. Screw you. Yeah.
That always tells me your mask, put your mask back on. All right. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I would go.
Now, you said you found something else, Cheese. Did you want to do that one first, or did you want to have a look at that other one I found? That's only a brief one.
Yeah, let me do mine. Let me separate it because I have so many tabs. Get out of there. Doesn't want to go. Hold on. Here we go.
What do you got for us this week?
Okay, so funny thing, we were talking about sneakers before, right? And
With Lycos, yep.
so Nike just
Oh, I
bought a
did see
virtual-
this. Yes.
Yeah. It's so cool, right? Like, and it
Mm.
just goes to what you were saying last week about the shoes. Like, no, Ma, you can't drop me off at school. You don't have your NFT shoes on. So
Mm.
Nike just bought a virtual shoe company that makes NFTs and sneakers for the metaverse. Like, I would buy Air Jordan, Nike's NFTs. Hell
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sneakerhead, so
Yeah, and that's it. There's a lot of sneakerheads out there. There's like a big market for this.
It's
bust
just
out
another
some
step.
of the collection actually, because I wasn't sure what collectibles we were going to get into. So I didn't even know you had this article prepared today.
I just found it 5 minutes ago.
Well, it's just another step towards Ready Player One. That whole thing of, you got your haptic suit on, but you got to make sure, you're saving up, you're grinding so you can get the latest, coolest shit. Oh, that's cool.
Definitely. There's actually this necklace I have, which is a Scrooge McDuck head, but it's made by artist Frank Wilder, who is starting their own metaverse, a Wilder World. And he's a 3D artist who makes 3D prints the wax mold and then pours silver and gold into the wax mold to make the jewelry, but also has made a metaverse, and they are making some interesting sneakers and cars, and I think they have a partnership with Jake Paul. So
I'm going to be annoying and ask you to bring your charm closer because I want to see it.
yeah, I'll take it off here. But yeah, it's funny. It's an artist that I had my eye on simply for the jewelry because it was interesting, and then come to find out that he makes NFTs and
Oh, yeah,
you see
cool.
a little
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck with
And
little
it's like-
glasses.
It's not flat. It's like a nice,
Yeah,
It's like a Monopoly piece almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is a 3D artist, and then he makes the wax mold in the 3D printer, or probably prints it and then makes the wax mold, and then pours the metal inside. So I was pretty intrigued by that, and then found out he had his own metaverse with some pretty sweet kicks. But once we get into the name brands here, it's going to be over.
Yeah, you just got your cursor there, Cheese. I like that, what it says there, a collaboration with teenage artist Ferocious to sell real sneakers paired with virtual ones, managed to sell some 600 pairs / NFTs in just 6 minutes, netting over $3.1 million at the time.
Ferocious.
That's some serious coin.
I wouldn't buy his stuff just for his name because I hate his name.
That's I'm not sure the story, but I did a little research because that artist was one of the finalists for Artist of the Year at NFT NYC.
Really?
Oh, wow. Sounds like Mike Tyson's saying his name. He's ferocious.
He's ferocious, man.
I'll eat your family. I'm ferocious.
I hear they're nutritious.
Did it say how much they paid? Like it says they bought it out. Does it say how much they paid for it?
Let's see, 600 pairs.
That was just for one thing.
Oh, that's in just 6 months.
Yeah, that's just one part of it. I'm just wondering how much Nike paid to buy out the company.
Okay.
Yeah. It's probably a big chunk, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would say so. I'll have to look out for the Adidas here.
You're Adidas guy?
Yeah, I'm
Run
a
DMC?
Yeezy guy specifically.
Nice.
Kanye is my spirit animal.
I love Kanye.
We've had an interesting journey together in the metaverse. I don't think any of the people have been him, but I've had quite a few encounters with random people with Kanye as their Discord handle. There's in Upland, there's just a Kanye West, and we were following each other around Manhattan, not cheap properties in the theater district in Chinatown. And I'd look next door and there's Kanye West. It got to be weird for a while.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, like I said, I've grabbed a couple things. So these are the zebra Adidas Yeezys that I rocked in McDuckin and Upix.
Oh, that's so
Cool.
cool. I love
So these are
those.
some of the Adidas. So they're pretty crazy.
I saw them this morning. Actually, my kids were asking me, "Who are you interviewing today, Dad?" And I said your name, and they were kind of, I heard that name, but I don't know where from. And then I played the Scrooge McDuck, and yeah,
Nice,
so they were pretty pumped.
And yeah, since we're on them, I'll show you these horrendous winter boots from Adidas and Yeezy that I got. This is by far my collecting habit that my wife Venus hates the most. She thinks they're atrocious. Look at these bad bears of a
Ready
moon
to
boot.
step on the moon.
Wow. So it's like a ski boot and an UGG.
Ugg boot all in one.
Yeah, it's
And a Timberland.
waterproof.
Ski boot,
It's an
Timberland.
odd piece of work. So she doesn't want to be seen in public with me when I wear these.
Why? Oh, well, you know
That's
what's
cool.
funny? Like I'm making networking connections everywhere I go. I was in Walmart and this lady was giving away these Coca-Cola coffees, right? And I started talking to her. She looked like she wanted to talk, so I just listened to her story. And basically, she was 73 years old. Didn't look it. She owned her own company. She was like, she does marketing for various companies. She knows the owner of Costco. She knows the owners of Starbucks. I got her number. I got her information, and I started talking to her about NFTs. And I said, listen, like I would love to have you in regards to a network or working together, partnering. If you know these people, like we can do like a little campaign or whatnot. I said, I'm not promising anything, but this sounds interesting. And she was definitely interested. And my husband comes along with the shopping cart. And he's like, hey, what are you talking about? I go, NFTs. And he just kept pushing the shopping cart away from us.
So funny.
Get away from the crazy lady.
Yes, the crazy ladies. Oh my god!
You're cutting deals left and right, Cheese. Mars, you won't know yet, but it's going to come out soon. Cheese has just been working on a massive deal that's going to revolutionise how nodes are secured within Upland. So you're on fire, lady.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. This is a nice opportunity. We're all pioneers, so we gotta, put our noses to the grindstone and just work hard at it, right?
Think outside the box.
You are everywhere.
I'm everywhere. It's funny, like whenever I make a good deal on my stocks or like in Upland, I have this Kanye song that I play. And it's
which one? I'm intrigued.
Nah, wait till I get my money right.
Can't tell me nothing. I love it.
Can't tell
and
me
you
nothing.
Can't tell me nothing, right? Like I said, he's my guy. What do I have? I just have so many random collectibles around. I happen to have in the packaging Kanye
nice.
Runaway album here. One of my favorites. I'm a big fan of Runaway. A toast for the douchebags. Here's a toast for the assholes. So it's a lovely tune.
That's cool. Not everyone
That's
likes
too
Kanye.
funny though. So you rock a deal and you bump some Kanye. I love it, Morecheeese.
Look at that. Yeah, I do. It's very motivating.
It's a solid choice.
It keeps the crowd going.
Nice.
I'm a fan of Power at the gym too. That's a motivator Kanye tune.
He's a good one. And so many. Oh.
So was there anything else in that article? What do we got there?
Yeah, what are these guys gonna do?
It says without revealing how much it spent. Bummer.
Damn.
So they're keeping it under wraps.
Converse.
They didn't want to FUD everybody with how much they paid.
Yeah, well, we've been saying that for a while within the UDU team meetings. It's only going to take one or two of these big companies to make a big splash, and they're all going to have to follow suit. You think about like Diet Coke came out, and then everybody else is doing diet this or that. That they all chase each other's tails. It's all catch up. It's just a matter of somebody going over that hump.
It's catch up.
Did they say what the utility was going to be with those?
Didn't seem to be. It seemed to be just an add-on, like you buy the sneaker in real life and you get the NFT.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm interested also, in the
They said
once you
for
get
now,
into the
bragging
metaverse.
Bragging rights, yep. No, that's cool. I love it. And anytime we can get some more mainstream companies talking about it and getting involved and pushing it out there, what do they say? A rising tide lifts all ships, sort of thing. So it's cool.
I believe that.
Yeah, especially
Alrighty.
someone like Nike.
Yes. Yeah. I've just got one last thing to share, which was another kind of funny article.
On that note, I did miss out on the McRib Ethereum NFT when McDonald's dropped that one.
No.
I didn't even
It did
know
not come with a real
that.
McRib.
Bummer. I'll just get rid of that so my computer doesn't die, or it's going to. So we've got here another article. It says Matrix star Keanu Reeves owns crypto. Skeptical of NFTs says, can we not have Metaverse be invented by Facebook?
Yeah,
Please.
but I think he's just hating on Facebook.
Yes, absolutely he is. Yep.
I agree with Neo on that one, I think. Just simply on the words between the quotes.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is a bit of a...
Skeptical of NFTs just sounds so broad.
Yeah, it is a bit of a fluff piece, like it's snippets of an interview that's supposedly on YouTube. But yeah, he mentions that he has crypto that a friend bought for him. He's a hodler, so he knows some of the terminology. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I hear he's a really cool guy.
Well, I named one of my kids after him, so yeah.
Nice. I'm a fan of some of his lesser-known Chinese movies that he's made in the recent years.
Yep. I was a mad fiend for what was it? Point Break. So. Oh
yes. Well,
my eldest boy named Bodie, and I couldn't call my second son Johnny fucking Utah, so I had to call him Keanu.
Johnny Utah is a little special to me, so.
I'd imagine, yeah. So we settled on Keanu.
Yes. I actually drop a Johnny Utah reference in the first bar of McDucket and Upix.
Cool. So in this
sorry to cut you off there, but I mean, I agree with Keanu on this one. Obviously we see all the things that Facebook has mishandled with being able to deal with the data they have already. So for them to have anything to do with holding my NFTs for me and controlling all of that information in that life as well, I'm probably going to say no thank you to Meta.
Absolutely. And it's kind of cool to get his perspective, like, because it often gets referenced back to the Matrix. Like we're all trying to get in the embryo bubble. All these people that are kind of fighting on the metaverse and that sort of stuff. So it's cool here that they said that, they're talking about how the technology is blurring the lines between what's real and virtual. And, that's what the Matrix was all about, at its core. And then here we are.
So what you're saying, Ben, is that they've already won and they did a good enough job that we're begging to plug ourselves in?
It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh man, they've already got us. We are in the simulation.
What did we say last week, Cheese? We said once the haptic suit sex robot's invented, that's the end of humanity. Nobody will ever leave home again.
Well, that actually was my fault, because I said I could definitely do with a Nick Valentine.
Nick Valentine haptic sex robot. That's the end of Cheese.
From
my
Fallout?
husband would have to understand. Yeah. Oh my God, I love
interesting
him
choice.
so much. I downloaded the mod so we could romance each other. I mean, he's missing most of his skin and you can see through his body, but still sexy as hell.
That's why I said interesting choice, but some people like the leprosy look, I suppose.
Well, you might not have heard of Cheese's whole thing about the turkey skin suits. Maybe you should give him a... So, we don't do Thanksgiving turkeys. There's no such thing as Thanksgiving here, but Cheese dropped it. I don't know whether it was it on the Whine and Cheese?
I scared him.
Yeah.
I don't think
she dropped it when she was a child, when she used to trade her turkey meat for everybody's skin, and she would make a turkey skin face mask.
Wow. Wow, Morecheeese lector, huh?
I'd be like, hello, Chloe.
That is disturbing. Nice.
Yes. So yeah, I think Keanu here, he's kind of he said, can we not have it be invented by Facebook, please? And he said the concept of a metaverse is way older than that, which absolutely it is. So that was kind of cool.
But you know what? I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I always do. I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't mind other people doing it and knowing about it through Facebook, because Facebook is really good at kind of guiding sheep along.
Yeah.
And I want the sheep to be as much into this as possible. And just like our politics, I want them to be stupid, because the more stupid the sheep are, the more money I make.
So
Yes.
you want the lemmings to jump off the cliff. You just
For
want to
me.
watch and not be one.
Yeah.
No, she wants to pay off the mortgage like me. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be like Facebook is all the boomers. Let's squeeze some money back out of the boomers. Give us some of that money back.
Like,
Yeah.
I am all for it.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Like, I don't like you anymore. No, you do. It's okay.
What do you think about this last bit, Cheese? This last bit that I've highlighted.
What? Do you think it's dystopian, like the way the original Matrix kind of presented all this, kind of dystopian where tech was headed? Yeah, I think because it's also content creation, it's fine. It's economic creation. It is.
Yeah, so they've kind of talked about how the Matrix was very dystopian, and kind of pointing to where technology was headed. And Keanu is just like, yeah, duh. It's all about content creation, and we've got a master of content creation on board at the moment that we're chatting to. So yeah, it's all tied up with economic stuff. We know it's heavily tied to crypto.
I wouldn't leave.
Yeah, I can see Zuckerberg coming through the phone in the Matrix style. I mean, in his announcement about Meta, something was off there. There was definitely a glitch in the Matrix. I don't know if you noticed, there was a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce used as a bookend on his shelf behind him.
Holy God.
I'm not lying about this. So there's a glitch in the Matrix right in when he announced Meta. Up there on his beautiful bookshelf as a bookend, there's a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. It's
I mean, maybe
very
he
bizarre.
he was having some chicken wings, and speaking of chicken wings, squirrel.
Oh, you and your hairband.
I got
Squirrel.
this really cool hairband.
You're going to get attacked by dogs.
That's a hairband. huh?
Yeah. If you wear that for your disc golf, you're going to get attacked by dogs. I might be in contact with your husband sooner than we imagined.
He'll probably be videotaping. Wait, I'm going to send you a picture of this. Keep going.
It's just, I like this last bit. On the subject of NFTs, Reeves was asked whether he'd seen the Matrix NFTs for the upcoming Matrix Resurrections movie, and he said that he hadn't seen them, but the first thing that him and his co-star said was, show us the money. Where's the money? So that's kind of cool.
That seems to be what all the celebrities say first.
Yep. Cool. That was the only thing that was on my radar that I thought was pretty interesting.
But like, question for y'all: would you really take the pill that makes you see reality? Like, who the hell wants to see reality? We spend most of our lives either, in substance that kind of skews it. So, what's the point?
It's interesting. I like Cheese doesn't really know Joe Rogan, but I'm sure Mars knows Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan always has a take on if the apocalypse comes or whatever, he wants to be taken out by the asteroid or whatever. I'm the opposite. I want to be fighting with the cannibals and see how I go.
Nah, what's the point? What's the
I'll go out kicking and screaming and scratching and all the rest of it.
Somebody eats your stomach apart and your guts fall out.
Yeah, while I'm chomping on their neck. Absolutely.
All right.
It is a philosophical question, but I guess it depends how good the life is, whether you're a cubicle rat like Neo or whether you're just going to miss your steak too much like that guy that sells them out.
Yeah.
My life is pretty sweet, except for the mental stuff. But like, yeah, it's not bad. I get to do my day trading at home. I have this whole wine and cheese thing. I do my art on a full-time basis. Like, who can say that they do what they love on a full-time basis? I take that
Absolutely.
pill, and then all of a sudden,
There you
I
are,
th- I
in a
think,
grimy spaceship wearing clothes that look like they're designed by Kanye. Burlap sacks with holes in them.
exactly.
Yeah. I
No.
always think back to my grandmother. Like she's just had a 94-year-old birthday. She was in the London Blitz. She was buried underground in World War II for 3 days or something. How much has changed in her from when she was a child to now? Like, I want to be around. I want to see what life is like in another 60 years. You know, no matter how bad it is, I just want to see what it's like. So yeah, I'm gonna go out tooth and claw.
Like a
Just found
samurai.
out, I just found out
Well-
another article that says Intel jumps headfirst into Metaverse. This was published 4 hours ago.
Yeah,
Now,
here we
let
go,
me,
baby.
if you don't mind, share my screen before we move on quick.
Oh yeah,
Because
anytime.
I have to prove this to you. We see here, Mr. Zuckerberg has a bottle of
He
Sweet
does
Baby
too.
Ray's.
You know, that's
Up
really
there.
good sauce too, because I use it on my fake chicken nuggets.
That has to be a plant, surely. Like
Glitch
somebody's
in the Matrix, Ben. I'm telling you, it's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, his hair's a glitch in the Matrix. I tell you, Jesus. Yeah.
But yeah, I was very, very surprised while I'm looking at that. And I was like, wait, is his bookend barbecue sauce?
Oh
Cool.
man. Oh man. I think the barbecue sauce is a good segue into learning more about Marcy.
Oh,
I think so.
Because I was
Load us
having a
up,
snack
James.
before we came on.
Yeah.
Well, the first question I want to know has nothing to do with the metaverse. It has nothing to do with any of your projects. I just want you to tell us about yourself. Like, what do you do when you're not in the metaverse? What do you like? What are your hobbies?
Let's see. That's an interesting one because really the reason why I'm in the metaverse is because it allowed me to express myself through my existing hobbies, really, for the most part. So I have always been a musician, so that's kind of how I got into it. So I spend time with that. A lot of my real world friends are musicians. A lot of my friends from the team that I call Red Planet Industries, are my real world friends here. We have a music studio in the house, so just spend a lot of time with friends there. Those guys are lucky enough to live on a lake, so we're from the other parts of New York, Morecheeese, the land of mountains and lakes and things like that. So the summer times here, like to get out and about and do a lot of fun things. But
Whereabouts?
I really do spend a lot of the time outside of the metaverse, thinking about the same things. I've always been an artist in every facet of life, and also some martial arts and coach basketball. I'm trying to think. I'm a very random person.
But whereabout in New York?
I am up in the Adirondacks.
Adirondacks. Is that near Peekskill?
It is like about an hour and a half north of Albany.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, you're up there.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's there's a lot of different parts of New York. So
yeah, it's huge.
so yeah, that whole upper part of New York before Canada is a lot of beautiful state park, the Adirondack Park.
imagine.
So we're lucky enough to live right on the edge of that, and like I said, have some friends that we can mooch off of. And one of the best lines around here in the summer, and probably a lot of other places, is the best, but the only thing better than having a boat is having a friend with a boat. So Venus
Absolutely.
and I live by that rule in the summer.
Now,
But
do you
yeah, just a
still
lot of
do-
outdoor activities and art and family.
Do you still
A
do
little less
music with
crazy
your
than I used to
friends?
be.
Do you still do music with your friends?
Yeah, yep. COVID has put a damper on actually getting out and really doing much. But Yeah, and what seems like another life, I did, that essentially was my work for about 10 years, was being a rapper, and then transitioned over to being kind of the front man of a band, sort of, I guess, lack of a better word, like Rage Against the Machine or Chili Peppers,
That's cool.
kind of rap rock, but not Limp Bizkit, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, you were kind of like T Davis in a sense, where it's probably 6 months to a year ago now. You were kind of struggling with balancing a kind of in real life grind versus moving into your passion for NFTs and that stuff full time. Are you still juggling both, or have you fully switched over?
I actually bailed out on the real world back in June, Ben.
Yeah,
and it's
cool.
It's been an interesting road. It's definitely a big challenge. Luckily, I have the support of my wife and my family and all my friends and things like that. With the metaverse is good to me, but also it got to the point where it just didn't make sense. My job was in kind of a sensitive area that got more and more stressful, we'll say, as things have changed in the U.S. over the last few years. So I was ready to bail out, and I finally was able to do so.
Cool.
Like I said, luckily, the other things in life line up. So,
no, that's awesome. A lot of the people that Cheese and I talked to are kind of still on that tipping point. That it's kind of a big risk, and I can imagine if you didn't have that support like yourself with Venus and everything like that, and even just your core Metaforce team and that sort of stuff, it is quite a big scary leap to take, and having a kind of security net almost would have helped in that regards for sure, I would imagine.
Yeah, like I said, I juggled both for a while, and it didn't become worth the time that I was spending out there. Obviously you got to think about things in the real world, like, well, I don't know. You're from Australia. Those things could be different from you, but healthcare is pretty ruthless here in the States. So there's a lot of things you got to think about when you leave from a career. But also, like I said, I was a working musician for a while. Obviously had to do some other things to fill in the gaps. I wasn't rich and famous while we were beating the road in a minivan, but
nice.
I was ready to take the leap again, and being able to express ourselves. But I'll just say it one more time. Lucky just to be able to take that road, because not many people can say, I'm going to hang out in my office with my collectibles with a luchador mask on, and draw comic books and create video games, and that's going to be my job now. And
absolutely. Is that a little bit of a hint there? And sorry, Cheese, there's one little thing there. Is that a hint behind you there? I can see is it an NBA Top Shot clip playing?
Yeah, so I'm a member of the Nine Lives Lounge, which I don't know if you're into Top Shot at all, or if you dabbled when it was blowing up there, but it's like most traditional sports card sets where they have the kind of limited subsets within the year. And so last year they had the Cool Cats set, and Venus and I both collected all 30 of those. And so they sent everyone in the original Cool Cat snapshot of Infinite Objects.
Awesome.
And it has all 30 of the Cool Cats clips that play on a cycle.
Nice. I know of a few people who got into the NBA Top Shots NFTs early on and were able to do some flips, and they made themselves a nice USD dollar buffer balance there that gave them the flexibility to say, right, now I can take a risk. Because I've made some money here, I can afford to take 6 months off from the in real life job and just give it a shot with everything I've got and see how it pans out.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to do well there. That's, I guess, another one of my out of the metaverse passions is sports. pretty much almost anything. I'm not really a baseball guy, but there needs to be at least a little bit of violence or physicality, I suppose. But basketball is one of my top sports that I love to play. I've coached well over 10 years with some pretty high level players here or there. So when trying to think of how I found out, I think Dapper Labs has a contract with UFC too. So I'm super into martial arts. And, then I noticed that Top Shot was going to launch. So I was in the beta when it very first came out. And, luckily I did know sports too. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with player Luka Doncic. He's kind of the young superstar in the Dallas Mavs. But I was picking up his cards for about $12 in the summer of 2020 and unloading some for a few thousand in the winter of this year. So it was pretty wild.
Sweet. I did cut you off there. Sorry, Cheese. I just saw that out the corner of my eye and wanted to jump on it before I forgot.
Going back to my first question. Now you said you like to do music. Do you still do that? Do you have anything new that's out? Do you have anything kind of like that you have done already that you wouldn't mind sharing? Because I heard that rap for the UPX show and I liked it. I would like to hear more of your stuff.
There is another, nothing new right now. I'm kind of between. Music is one of those things where getting together with a group of people consistently and actually finding that vibe and holding it together is a very tough thing to accomplish. And you do have to spend a lot of time there. So with everything else, I'm not really playing anything like that. We have talked about doing some things. Emmett Left House's brother, EE Left, and I. So with the Metaphor song, just little things here and there. I wrote the lyrics for the Metaphor song and worked through that with Emmett. He does the lyrics to that. But we did, Left House did take one of the songs that with my old band and turn it into an NFT on Red Planet Wax. He made an interesting little clip that plays it almost, I think he calls it a South Korean karaoke video. And so that's a song from, probably almost 20 years ago with an old band of mine that we played a lot of shows with. I'd say that's probably my most successful venture with that group of guys. It was kind of full on rock act. So we got to open up for some big people, and I own CBGBs in Upland, and that's probably one that's near and dear to my heart because we were able to play and headline CBGBs before they closed it down. Nice. Turned it into the John Barbados store, which makes me cry.
Yes.
But so we had some good times, but I just kind of dabble here or there. It is one of those things I wish I had more time for, and there really is nothing in the world that makes me feel like getting on a stage and kind of losing myself in a song. I tend to get a little wild depending on what it might be. Some of my friends, the last time I was out in the world before the pandemic, some of my friends they have a cover band, and they were playing Killing in the Name Of by Rage Against the Machine. And so I stepped up and sat in with them and promptly almost broke the floor of the place, was told by the manager we could never do that again. And then I think someone punched someone too. So it's I like to get loose, but haven't had that experience in a while.
Oh, I did hear, was it TML and Too Stupid? It might have been a couple of podcasts ago. It sounded like they were debating maybe updating the UpX podcast theme song. Any news on that?
Yeah, they haven't reached out to me, but it has been something we kind of talked about when I first wrote it. I did say that I would revisit it, and I think that's something that probably needs to happen since all of the references are about San Francisco only. So you think about how much Upland has changed in that amount of time. And just to double back, I guess, I will say to one of the old players, our guy Nichiren from Upland, he comes from Second Life. And so I have actually played a few Second Life shows in his club over there. So that was an interesting experience, and maybe a good place to test drive the haptic suit as well. I will say, Morecheeese, it's a interesting experience over there in Second Life.
Like a live show almost, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So he has a music club. He walked me through building my avatar there because it is very complicated. It's, I don't know if you've ever dabbled in there, but it's a series of folders just like Windows. It's very not video game-ish when you really get into hooking it up to be at least a performer level of not looking like a mongoloid. And when it was my turn, I walked up on the stage and hit my little rock out moves for my avatar and live streamed in. And there's a bunch of people out there that were actually watching. So I think the first one I did was last September for him, so over a year ago. And so I think Nasty Hooks have wandered in there.
Yeah.
And done a few gigs. So
do you think you would ever do anything with the Nasty Hooks? Like do like a show with them?
I'm not sure what happened, and this one's on me, but we did talk about doing a remix to one of the recent songs, and I actually did write and record a verse for that, but it didn't end up in the remix so far. But it was at a time when I was traveling too, so I may not have gotten that to them in time, but hopefully we can figure out something to do with it. They have a song, Where's Roy?
Yeah,
so
where you at?
I have a little feature verse that I wrote for Where's Roy.
Really?
So hopefully we can take that out of the vault at some point.
I would love that. That would be
that'd be awesome.
Oh my god.
And that was fun. So that was probably the last thing that I wrote. So we always talk about doing more, but I have my hands full with so many other official things, I guess we could say. So
take a Friday night off and go hang out in the Nasty Hooks place. Do one song. Do a Where's Roy with them.
Yeah, I remember.
That would kill.
Yeah. I remember one night, it must have been crazy early or crazy late your time, and you had an impromptu rap battle with an OG player, Capitalist. I remember jacking in and listening to that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, it's been a wild road in the metaverse. I kind of stopped not too long ago, now that it's been over a year since McDuckin and Upix and a few key things happened. I kind of had that moment, it's like, and took a little bit of inventory of all the wild things that have happened along the way. And that goes back to Nichiren as well. I got into General, and those two were just sparring absolute filthy ugliness at one another.
Yep.
And Capitalist was acting pretty cocky, and it was pretty random because I don't think I even instigated it, but he started spouting off about a rap battle, and I was just kind of a lurker at that point, and then I couldn't help myself. That's kind of how I was, in real life around like the kind of battle rap scene. Obviously, either way, I don't really look the part of a rapper on the street. So I kind of wander in that same sort of fashion. It's, oh, all right. So you're running your mouth a little bit. So we kind of caught Capitalist off guard. I think Thank Me Later set up an impromptu voice channel, and we had it out. And then in usual fashion, after two dudes have it out, we broed it out, did our metaverse version of a bro hug, and we've been friends.
Yeah, I wish I was around for that. That sounded cool.
Yeah, that's another wild one, wandering around my house, battle rapping into my phone.
Now, besides
with a guy in England.
In England, is that where Capitalist is from?
Yes, yeah, it's pretty funny. I believe his significant other woke up in the middle of it and said, "What the hell are you doing?" from the background. It was a fun experience.
Like, hush, I gotta win this. Besides your music, you also have your art that you do. And tell us more about your art and your style and how you kind of got into it and your evolution.
Yeah, I mean, that's really just kind of a lifelong process. With my art and story writing, it's not, it hasn't taken the path of a traditional path. It's just I fill my life really since I was a kid with just influences in those areas because that's what I enjoy. And then they just kind of come out in my artwork. But I did go to art school and have a little bit of classical training and things like that. But also, I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s. So, that's the time of, I don't know if you know, the image revolution in comics. So that's a big factor and influence on a lot of the visual style on the comic side. So quick, that recap, that's Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, who invented Spawn, is probably most notable, but does a lot of toys, and he grew to fame drawing Spider-Man for Marvel. Rob Liefeld, he created Deadpool. So all those guys splintered off from Marvel in the early 90s and created their own company, and a lot of that visual work from that time really burned itself in my brain. But then, also just kind of digesting pop culture and spewing it out through a weird lens is a lot of my stuff too. So I just, I arrive at it by, just combining all these things that I like, and then, that little bit of training that I have that puts a leash on everything.
So I want to dive into those toys, but Ben, do you have any other questions?
I'd like to hear about, you were one of the very few people that have been featured as a spotlight artist within Upland, and you were able to, put together some block explorers and sell those. And I do know that was something funny. Now that we've been given the ability within Upland to offer on trade swaps for block explorers and that sort of things, I think it might have even been Uplando. Is he one of the ones that has your block explorers? He was suddenly inundated with these just ridiculous swaps for his one-of-one Mars Utah NFT.
Yeah, he does have one. But yeah, that was very cool. It seems that the Upland artist spotlight seems to have sputtered out a little bit with Upland. I know that was back when John Connor, also known as Block Unchained, was the community manager, and he's very art focused guy. So that was very cool. They asked me to do the second artist spotlight, and so that involved making a few NFTs, and then their artist director on their end actually created the block explorers of my drawings. And there's a few. One's a special piece to me called Golden Handcuffs. I forget who even has that one, but if you know that metaphor, then you kind of know where I was at that point in my life. So there's a couple other pieces. One's a tattoo for my leg. That's the one that Uplando sports, and we did that in 3 different color schemes. But it's pretty wild still seeing those things floating around the game. And luckily, before they kind of sputtered out on that program, Left House was able to be featured and get some block explorers into the game as well. But I'd say that was probably my first super humbling experience in the metaverse, because those got put up for auction in the Discord, and gosh, I don't even remember at this point, but I think they all went for over 500 and some were up around 800, and I just really didn't see that coming.
I think because I remember I was in DMs with you at the time, and I asked how much of a cut did you get out of that, and I think you said at the time that you got all of it, and it was it was several million UPEX, like all told.
It was amazing. And so Upland, they were great. They didn't take a cut of it at all.
Begs the question: do you remember what you did with all the UPEX?
I believe I may have bought the massive park in Chinatown that is actually the site of where the 5 Points was before they bulldozed that to try to forget that it existed in New York City. Bill the Butcher and Leonardo DiCaprio and those dudes, right? Leonardo DiCaprio lived there in the 1800s, didn't he? So yeah, I have a slight fascination with the 5 Points era there, that the Gangs of New York movies made after. And so my buddy in Red Planet Inc., Ad Rock, and I gobbled up as much of those massive parcels. So kind of as a finger in the eye of the crime in the underbelly of New York. That was right around the Tammany Hall days. They bulldozed the 5 Points and built courthouses and things over it.
Yeah, you're somebody who went pretty heavy in Manhattan when it first released. It took quite a while for that to sell out, and now we've just seen the prices on the secondary market are just outrageous. Have you kept your finger on the pulse of what's been happening there?
I've been diving back in a little bit. I do have to say, pretty much over the summer, I wasn't too involved in Upland just because I do have a lot of other NFT things, but also as far as Upland, I've kind of surpassed the land acquisition phase of what I want to actually do with it. So I'm sort of in a holding pattern, other than just playing around a little bit. But I don't think I've offloaded really any of my Manhattan properties. I was, lucky enough to get a few gems, I think, to maybe the real hardcore New Yorkers and culture fans that aren't in collections, but I followed the Harlem hunch very hard, so that'll work out for me in the end. Chinatown, I went very heavy on. I'm a fan of the Bowery. I like the old New York underbelly. As we talked about, I'm from New York, not from the city, but quick zip on the train line. So we were down there a lot. My sister actually went to the Fashion Institute down there, so I spent a lot of time running around New York City and went to the Limelight and the Tunnel. And so I was lucky enough to buy the church that the Limelight used to be in Upland. I got my hands on that.
I gotta ask you a question, Lars. You said your sister was in a Fashion Institute. Was that the high school or the college?
The college, so FIT.
I went to the high school. It was right behind me.
Nice.
I was trying to find it in Upland, but I couldn't find the address, so I got art and design instead.
Excellent. So I had a lot of local knowledge, from down there. So like I said, I grabbed CBGB's, I grabbed the Bowery Ballroom, which is, legendary music hall, the Apollo up in Harlem, a bunch of things like that. So my Upland strategies don't always tend to be the most profitable, just because I'll end up buying weirdo stuff that I like. Like I own I forget the official name of the detainment center down in the city center, just below Chinatown, but it is I refer to it as the jail that Epstein didn't kill himself in. So
Nice.
they held El Chapo there. So I buy weird things like that. So the Limelight, I don't know if the movie Party Monster with Macaulay Culkin, so that's kind of centered around that place. So I got my hands on a lot of weirdo New York City landmarks. The first site of Trash and Vaudeville, which is a legendary punk rock clothing store, and just some weirdo places. The Mafia Hall of Fame. But yeah, as far as the actual, I know the market's wild. I haven't been getting a lot of offers, surprisingly, on anything. But I pretty much went through and pulled a lot of things down. But I think San Francisco and Manhattan are pretty much long holds for me.
Cool. How about this Bronx release that's coming up tomorrow? You got any interest in that?
I probably am. Unfortunately, I haven't had a ton of time to do research into any kind of collection chasing like I really wanted to for the type of release that we're having. But I kind of sat out of Staten Island, but there's definitely some things in the Bronx that interest me. As far as the layout of where I want to go, I think I'm essentially keeping those two main city hubs, but we have kind of established more or less a Red Planet node in Mill Basin in Brooklyn as well. I became kind of, especially AdRock and I became obsessed with that weird little area in Brooklyn. So I'm not, maybe there's a Bronx neighborhood that we don't plan on buying in. That seems to always happen to us. I throw smart flips out the window and buy some weird little neighborhood.
Cool.
We needed someplace to park the Metaverse yachts, so we bought out Mill Basin. I own a beautiful Home Depot on the water.
Hey, why not?
But yeah, I don't know. You ready to roll, Ben? I assume you are.
Well, it's Cheese. Cheese has put the plan into action.
Of course.
We're full speed ahead with we're going for a new UDU node, and Cheese is the mastermind behind it, and she's leading the charge. So yeah, absolutely, we're all in.
I forgot about the local knowledge. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, really, obviously, I'm still 1,000% in on my beloved Buena Vista in San Francisco, as the headquarters with, Mount Olympus, and that's where the Pantheon is kind of centered with the Metaverse lore and a lot of the stuff around where I started, and kind of from there it's that Bowery Chinatown area and Mill Basin.
Nice.
So we've
well,
don't know how many more areas I can plan to develop by my little crew.
You can only do so much, can't you? That might be a good segue over to Metaverse, unless there was something else Upland related you want to touch on, Cheese.
I mean, I guess one thing you mentioned it, your node. Do you have any plans to kind of build it up at some time? Do you know how much you kind of own in there at the moment?
Buena Vista, I haven't done the math in a while. I know that we were right around probably 60% of it with my crew, and then TM is also in there very heavy. And if we had add him in the mix of friendlies, it's a good portion of the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, I think I've got a dozen or so.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people. I haven't really tied it all together, but it's been a thing that evolved over a long time. Like I said, Nietzsche and I have, a really good working relationship. As you know, and going back to the Spud Wars, we cooperated a little bit there, but what did they call us? Lieutenants or something?
Yep.
But yeah, I was one of the second in commands for the dog patch there. So he and I, we're not super tightly affiliated, but we're also both kind of wild cards, I guess. So we tend to work well together. And so he has a really big stake in Buena Vista. He kind of calls that his second home as well. So we've always had plans for once, we're able to have a little more fun in Upland, I guess, is really when we plan to pop things off. We're steadily grinding away, just building there. So we are popping up, but I probably own about 250 properties in Buena Vista, so it's going to take me a while.
Nice. That just reminded me of something. What kind of car would Mars Utah drive in Upland?
I'm more of a big truck and SUV kind of guy, but I don't know how that'll go in San Francisco. I'd probably get chased around by the environment people, to be honest with you. So I might just have to get a smart car, or I don't know. I'm going to be on the top of Mount Olympus. I might even just be able to get across down in a soapbox racer from up there. But
cool.
No, I'm pretty partial to Ford Raptors and Jeep Gladiators and things like that. So I probably would have to run over some Mini Coopers to get around San Francisco in real life.
I would be okay with that. Yeah, I upped my properties. I remember you gave me one to start me off, and I got 2 more in there. I actually was able to get a townhouse already built on. Somebody was selling it for like $50K, and I was like, too easy.
Yeah, you're over there on Saturn Street, and that's another one of these initiatives. It's actually I don't really want to say too much because I've tried to lay a lot of plans before, and other things just keep getting in the way. But really trying to get my own stuff and just the Red Planet brand, I guess you could say, back and rolling again, as far as just being more active in Upland and different places, aside from, you know, Metaverse and Green Rabbit and other projects that I'm in. So, you know, that was Saturn Street. You know, their intention was to try to fill that street with female Upland players, and that
Segregation.
well, not fill, I guess, but and the time when it started was when Red Planet with our crew, we have 4 female members of the Red Planet crew, and there, I guess it's kind of less of a thing now, but there's very few female players in the Upland world. And so we just thought it was a fun thing that you know, the kind of group of houses together on Saturn Street. There's a player, many more, who is still around, but she isn't that active. But she dubbed them the Buena Vista Sisters, so it was pretty funny. So we used to just joke about it on Upland streams and things. It was really never anything official, but you know, Seppuku from Nichiren's clan is in there, and T. Davis's significant other, Dead Cheek 86, and K Boogie's with us in Red Planet, and Ash Campbell. So Saturn Street, there's a lot of stuff going on in early Upland days, so I ended up buying the rest of that out, and it was kind of something that just started to organically happen. And then, you know, like I said, there's a lot more females in the Metaverse than there was 14 months ago, so it's a lot less of a fun idea of having a little crew.
Most of us are just hiding, but there was a couple of ladies in the UDU, and we were deemed the ladies of UDU. What was the name, Ben?
Oh, what was it?
Ludu. Ladies.
Ludus, yeah, the Ludus.
And I hated it. And I was like, do not call me that. I am a person in the UDU. Do not call me that.
Yeah, we had merchandise all organized and everything, and she's like burned it all down. She's like, fuck that.
Yeah,
stab you in the throat.
Yeah, it's you know, as Ben knows, you know, back in those Upland days of over a year ago, you know, there was just a lot of fun stuff we were doing on streams and events, and kind of creating the game for ourselves, you know. So a lot of things like that were just to add layer of fun when we didn't have a whole lot of other things to do inside of Upland.
My idea of fun is creating a node, which I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And Ben, I have to show you the verbal and written contract I have with the person. I have like so many. I made a presentation. I have plans to get all the FSA. I have hired people. It's going to be awesome.
You don't muck around. Like when I do it, I just throw these ideas out. You got like contracts and all sorts of shit, presentations, spreadsheets. Freaking love it.
You have a cover on your TPS report?
Yeah.
But it's
no, you get the Office Space joke.
I haven't watched Office Space in a long. All I remember is the guy with the glasses who the guy kept telling him to move. The poor guy. No, I'm not moving again. No, I already moved. He's like, I'm gonna need you to go back there.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've given Upland enough love. I'd like to hear more about the Metaverse side of things. I was lucky enough to get. Is it the rare version of the comic one that gives you the full experience?
The legendary is the animated with the voiceovers and everything. Yeah. And the rare...
I was lucky enough to pull one of those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There's only 100 of those out there, and you know, that was kind of a choice that broke our hearts. Luckily, I think we were able to get them. Left House was sweating that out hard, so that was kind of a fun part over drop day. So yeah, when that first one came out, you know, Metaverse has definitely been a labor of love, and that was super fun. And that legendary issue was you know, a lot of fun to watch come to life.
And when you guys were putting that together, that was at the again, that was at the cutting edge of what the technology was capable of. Like you guys pretty much made that up, basically. I'm assuming when we get a next version, episode 2 or whatever it's going to be, come online, I'm pretty sure there's going to be clear evolution, visual and that sort of things. The technology is moving so fast. Have there been things where, like, maybe you wanted to do it before but you weren't able to, and now you'll be able to do that in this next one?
Yeah. Well, with the first one, a lot of the art hurdles had been cleared kind of initially by mostly Left House. Like we've talked about, I made the McDuffin and Upix song, but that really, the only reason it was a video and on an NFT is because Left House figured it out. I would say he had to be. It's hard to ever confirm you're one of the first people to ever do something, I would say, in the blockchain. So I know Left House, along with M Blue and a couple people, were the first ones that I know of to put music on wax, which made us able to do the voiceover. But really, technically, the big hurdle was the viewer and the long form NFT, which luckily for my own sake, I'm not smart enough to crack that nut. So that was T. Davis and Viz, Wilson, a lot of those guys. I know Rick Courier was in on it as well. But when you look at that, the front and the back cover display on Atomic Hub, and then when you log in, to our website with your Wax wallet, it will display the full 16-page NFT, and be able to actually swipe through it. And we really didn't want to settle for anything less than that with the first issue. So that set us back a little bit of time as well. But
you definitely set the bar high.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be one of the things that I know a lot of people like to do in the metaverse, myself included, is we say we're going to do something and then figure it out after. And so that always makes timelines and deadlines unpredictable. But also just from a visual side, it wasn't like we came into this fresh off any of us having a career other than Left House, any of us having a career in doing any of this. So like I said, Bonds from Our Planet's a friend of mine. He showed me, Garbage Pail Kids as the first NFTs that I saw, then Blockchain Heroes. And, with the way Atomic Hub's set up, instantly it's, well, why aren't we doing something ourselves? And that led to that, Battle of Buena Vista contest, which led to my art partner and I, putting out fan art that we gave away for that and different things. And, so that all kind of evolved. And it's a much more involved project, I would say, than any of us figured out when we set down that path. So
for sure. And as the director of imagination, you're heavily involved in the storylines and that sort of thing. We did get a bit of a sneak peek into potential storylines for the upcoming series when we talked to Penguin. He was on the hunt for some block explorers from within the Upland, some custom block explorers, and Morecheese and I nearly fell over ourselves sending those off to Penguin. Yeah. We're evil. We want to be the villains.
Yes. So that is in the works. And issue 2 will tie up the second half of that storyline there. But the plan always was, we came out with the series of cards first, because that e-reader situation was so far off. But we always tried to design some fun villains. We have the killer whale, scam artist, the red taper, the mysterious boss, who is things will develop with him. But it's initially the concept we all kind of brainstormed, especially Left House or Courier and I. But somehow it's funny because out of all the art that I did before the metaverse, writing probably the lowest one on the rung of my skills, if you were to ask me, and it seems to be the one that's kind of rising to the top here, strangely enough. So that's been interesting.
Cool. Where is there any like indication of when that next one will come out?
So we're shooting for January at this point. Unfortunately, we did have a few holdups, but the work, once the line art and the what we call a regular comic book is done, really starts probably another 4 weeks of work to get the rare and legendary situated. So it's hard to get onto a schedule of a regular comic company. So we really have to get in the flow there. We do have some crossover comics that we're going to be launching soon with Alien Worlds, and
yes,
it's not super official, but all Forsaken.
Oh wow.
So
awesome.
Yeah, we weren't going to announce that, but Coleman from Forsaken was on the news with Left House and Recur, and he said that we're making a comic for him. So I guess the cat's out of the bag there. But
Nice.
that's a little far down the line. So right now, we're in story and character development for the Alien Worlds book, which is going to be super fun, I think. Just really getting some of the characters nailed down, and I think there's going to be some crowd pleasers of some personalities in there.
I can't wait. I really like
so
the comic book. It was so awesome, especially the flipping mechanic.
Yeah, it is fun and satisfying. The last thing we wanted to do was load 16 images into Atomic Hub and just click through them, so that was really the thing that we wanted to conquer. So
and is there going to be another pack drop associated with that? Like, I know that your first pack drop that sold out pretty much instantaneously, and there's a lot of talk within the Metaverse team how a lot of the hardcore supporters missed out potentially because of bots and that sort of thing. It seems like you've put things in place where that can be addressed in the future.
Yeah, that was really more so the card drop. So we are switching in general, just the business model from the big hype, try to drop something and sell out instantly, to really becoming more of our website becoming more of a comic store, or, our collections where you can stop by and just always be able to pick up the common. We'll see where we get to the point. Obviously you don't want to dilute the market and make them meaningless, like a lot of things, like my X-Force 1 back there, where they printed 8 million copies of it, but everybody thought it was a collector's item. But we're trying to kind of change the narrative a little bit. That the first card drop, a lot of that had to do with our planet hype as well. Around that same time, that was when Ether was through the roof, and anything that was rumored to be stakeable on our planet pretty much instantly sold out. And with my relationship with Bonds, being forefront, we really didn't hide the fact that we were going to be stakeable. And in retrospect, we did regret that after the drop, because there's a whole lot of people holding that Series 1 Metaverse collection that just wanted it to earn Ether, and that was really the last way we wanted it to go down. So there's been some adjustments along the way. We're still talking about ratios in the card packs for the comics. There are still some on the market there from the drop, but all the legendaries are off the market. So there are a lot of things we're still thinking about there, because especially with the space seeming right now to want utility out of everything. Everything we play to earn, and we really started as collectibles and an entertainment brand. When we first thought about Metaverse, the utility wasn't a thing that was in the forefront. Blockchain heroes sold out, and you just wanted them because you wanted them. And then this changed really quickly.
So you're kind of moving back towards that initial vision almost.
Yeah. I mean, that I think we're still going to partner with people, but the comics themselves, we really want those to be in people's wallets and for them to be reading them, not to be housed or in people's collections just so that they can earn a game token or something. So it really, the card collections and things like that will probably be the ones. We're lucky enough to have the fan support to win a partnership with Warsaken for their in-game token as well, so you'll be able to earn some rewards. So we will continue with those, but it's not going to just blanket include our whole collection, because we do want to kind of focus on collectors.
Cool. You have anything else to touch on there, Cheese?
Well, I saw the AMA last night, so I was I have a little bit more knowledge about the Metaverse information and the Alien Worlds information, so I'm good with that. If there's anything you want to ask more about Metaverse.
No, I think I'm right. I think we covered a lot of stuff there. I like how, you're kind of moving back towards the collectability aspect of it, and kind of like what you've got in the background there. You're a collector. You can go and pick up your comic. You can go and read it and that sort of thing. I think it'd be cool now to switch to the other side of the NFTs, which, like, you've been through the ringer as far as your involvement with the Green Rabbit project. Like, that's been through. There's not many other projects that have been through the roller coaster that project has. Maybe it's a good segue into that, because that's coming from a completely different angle, where you're right, the community, everything is about pushing for the utility of that.
It's that's been a wild ride, to say the least. As the beginnings of that, it really started as a community project, and then got whipped up into that first drop, which was a lot of fun at that point. Up until the first drop, really, I was just writing the lore behind the project, and everything was moving real fast, so I didn't have too much input on the visual side of things. But it's there's a fall off kind of across the board in the play to earn, it seems, around the end of August, September, and just the hype, obviously around that one, which was whipped up and also snowballed, but the NFT space, wax in general, really seems to have changed over, like I said, to the play to earn. And you do have a lot of people who instantly want returns on things, and it's a bit of the Wild West. So that initial drop was an interesting time. We had a lot of fun out there. Obviously got to meet the guys and things like that, but in these last few months, that project really got down to business, I think, on what it was supposed to be. Once things got focused and through the little turmoil there at the end of the summer. So it's been fun. That project really is a lot bigger than Metaverse. Obviously it's a lot of people who with Metaverse, we all started out as friends, and it grew from there. Where obviously with Green Rabbit, people are hired on, and the project has grown. And so, I'm really focused on the creative side only there. So, when it comes to a lot of mechanics and things like that, luckily they have a lot of people like Stirs and other people who are a lot smarter than me that work out the tokenomics and, the game mechanics and all those things that are important to keeping the games like Green Rabbit going for the people who aren't in it for the art and the storytelling and entertainment.
Yeah, I was going to say Stirs. Like, Stirs was very vocal in because he kind of jumped in at that kind of point where there was still a lot of backlash in the community and that sort of stuff. And Stirs was very vocal about saying, hang on a minute, ignore all of that stuff. Well, you don't have to ignore that stuff, but look deeper into what the core aspects of the project are. And it was kind of cool that he was willing to put his own reputation on the line and say, he believed there was something there that was that was going to hold value and was something that he was willing to, like I said, put his reputation on the line and put his time and effort towards, getting back on course, I suppose you could say.
Yeah. And, as you said, I won't dive into all the details, but, that was an interesting time for me, especially with all the crossovers and the business relationships and things there. But yeah, I mean, I always knew the intent really of and those guys, and that they really wanted to put out this quality vision. And from my end of things, as you know, Ben, I kind of came in, and it was a chaotic period in the beginning of Green Rabbit, and when it was kind of crossed up with the UDU a lot more, and with Venom and things, and just kind of was allowed to put my creative stamp on it. And that really is the one thing, not the one thing, but what the thing that the project with Green Rabbit really does is that I've been given really 100% creative freedom with the lore and input on the game and different things like that. So it's a super fun project for me in that regard. And to have artists to work with to bring that vision to life. And for myself, I'm not a super sci-fi guy, I'm more superheroes. So to have this like massive sci-fi epic that has just kind of spawned has been fun. And just creating this whole world.
It was definitely, in the beginnings there, it was definitely a case of, because there were so many people involved and everybody had like some pretty big ideas. It was kind of almost there was too many ideas sort of thing. Like at back in the very, very early stages, I was pushing to make it more like kind of R-rated sci-fi horror sort of stuff, and then other people would come in with different ideas, and we were kind of getting nowhere. And I think it was probably your involvement where you just came in and said, no, this is what we're doing. And that kind of gave it a bit of focus.
Yeah, it's tough, and that's where I guess the advantages and disadvantages of working in kind of a group of people that you have friend relationships, not so much the relationship, but you get into these working environments where you're just firing off ideas and having a good time and whatever it may be. But at some point you kind of got to try to wrangle a few of those together, and it seemed to be kind of one of those things that was hard to nail down in the beginning, just kind of in general as a project, so
for sure.
Yeah, that's these metaphors, or I keep saying that instead of metaverse, these metaverse groups, it's the intent in the beginning and the ideas are always wild and all over the place.
Yeah. So we know you're heavily involved in Metaverse and Green Rabbit. Are there any other projects? I believe I've seen you with, is it on Twitter? You've got like the lion avatar or something like that. Are there any other projects that you got your finger on the pulse of?
Yeah, I'm not involved with them, but that's Lazy Lions. That's kind of like Bored Ape Yacht Club or other things like that. So I was lucky enough to get on those before they bumped up in price. But they're a fun little community, and really, when it came to the Ethereum profile picture projects and things like that, that art just kind of grabbed me. I obviously have a thing for leopard print, so one of the Lazy Lions in my collection had some leopard skin and or leopard fur rather, and some things. But they're a cool community that you get paybacks off the percentages of the aftermarket returns and a lot of cool things like that. They had a free to mint. It's Lazy Line Bungalow, so it's like the inside of a bungalow, and it's the dimensions of your Twitter banner. And there's 3 frames on the wall, so you have your bed and your living area, and that was all random and different rarities. But you can take other NFTs in the app and load them in and then mint them so they're in the frames inside of your wall in your bungalow. So they're doing some interesting, innovative things. But yeah, I'm other than just kind of dabbling in random things here or there. Those are really, I guess, officially, other than just being myself and doing things with Left House. But really just trying to get back into doing some more things with Red Planet, and should have some things up my sleeve for next year.
Yeah,
Cool.
I was gonna say, like, I can't wait to see a Mars Utah show, because you kind of have all this charisma and all these fans and all these ideas. And what are you waiting for? What the hell, man?
Well, thank you. It's fun. Yeah, it does need to happen.
Yeah.
I was ready to launch one a few months ago, and my focus with everything I do is trying to be different. It's funny because obviously I'm stand out from the crowd now, but in my music days, as I said, I put on some wild stage performances, and that was always one of my mottos was, you might not like me, but you'll never forget me. So yeah, I guess I kind of bring that with me everywhere. But so I try to be original, and the idea with the show is I don't want to say it just like that, but I wanted to try to gamify a show, instead of especially doing the news with Left House. I feel like I do enough interview style TV from the host perspective, straight up like that. So I wanted to kind of do a late night variety show kind of version of things, and I had some gamification factors that were going to happen live during the show, and Upland and Uplift and different things, and then access to the Upland API changed over the summer as far as being able to view visitor data and things. And so I had to go back to the drawing board on how to build in some games, So.
Yeah, that kind of threw Rikuri and a few people for a loop that had different projects in the works.
Yeah, there's that the upland mining that everybody was doing, and
yeah,
I had been hoping, I guess, no reason to hide it now since it's not really capable, and not that it's some big idea I need to trademark, but I was going to take that upland kind of mining experience and have addresses that you would have to get live on the show, and you would have to visit that address while the show was live, to get different NFTs and things like that. But without being able to pull that visitor data, it kind of ruined my game. So I'm in the process of cooking something else up.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you might not have seen, but the UDU, we're in the process of putting together a kind of variety show as well called the Upland Mash. It's going to be like open to the public, kind of some kind of gamey sort of stuff as well. Going to be pretty loose and whatnot. We were hoping to get that out this year, but we've pushed that back to next year. I think as we've seen the player base within Upland and the kind of the NFT space in general kind of explode, I think content's going to be, there's going to be huge demand for any sort of content.
Yeah, it's fun, obviously, Morecheeese watches us on the Upland Action News, now the NFT Action News, I believe, but it's fun, and at my core, I love to entertain people, and as you said, that that is going to spread, and that sounds like a ton of fun, sort of like the UDU Gong Show, huh?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we always have so much fun before and after the meetings, like when we press record, that we push that out, and we thought, well, why don't we kind of put this together, a bit more? And we've committed to making it totally open to the public. So there'll be aspects of like the UpX podcast, and we expect it'll probably get pretty loose. Some weeks it might be boring as hell, but other weeks it'll be off the charts. We'll just play with it, see how it evolves.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, like I said, at this point we've been around the metaverse a lot, and I have a lot of people that we have pretty loose, fun relationships with. So, instead of having them on and trying to find something to talk about or just talk about your next project, that's not always the most fun. So, kind of trying to craft something where we, play some games and do some things a little off the beaten path.
I have an
Yeah.
idea, Mars. So I think it should be you with sometimes I know Rico likes to do his games like, and he's so excited and it's really fun to watch. He's like, "Oh, I found a bottle and I could use it to get into here with that survival game." So like if you and him just kind of have a game where you show yourself playing NFT games, and then you have different segments. You have the NFT game segment, and then you have new toy of the week segment. I don't know if you would want to do it on a daily basis or a weekly like us, because even weekly is difficult, man. But if you do it on a weekly basis, you could have toy of the week and you kind of get into it, and like you and Miko can kind of play with them together.
Barbecue sauce reviews.
I would watch that like so hard. Like I think that would be so cool. And
That's
of
a
course
good
you have to
idea.
have me on the show with like as an artist or whatnot. But
Yeah,
yeah, other than that.
I have thought about it, and like we've talked about, I have so many things that I'm into. So I've kind of
Yep.
tried to figure out a schedule where maybe, the content rotates by the week or something like that, with a focus on physical collectibles one week,
Yeah.
and the different things like that.
And
Oh.
speaking of physical collectibles, can we see some of your newest toys?
Oh, well, yeah, you can see some of the newest, but before we get into that,
Okay.
I dug into some old things that I knew you would love. And too funny because right on top of the pile of things when I opened one of the crates was this unopened in the wrapper
Wow.
Hulkamania workout set cassette.
Wow.
Holy smokes. That's really cool.
40-minute audio program with the Hulkster himself.
Like just yelling at you to do some stuff. Wow.
And so let's see, what do we have here? I know we've talked about some of these guys.
Yes.
Captain Lou Albano and Roddy Piper.
Hey.
Remember Captain Lou?
Captain Lou, that's Cyndi Lauper's dad.
Yes, he had the rubber bands in his face.
Yes. Yes. And then do you have Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
I don't have the hacksaw. George the Animal Steel.
George
if you
the
remember
Animal
him.
Steel, yes. Oh, they made his skin so weird because he had white hair all over
Yes, they tried to
himself.
put the hair on him. Yes.
Wow.
The Macho Man and the Iron Sheik.
Wow.
Got a bunch over here. Oh, one of my favorites. The British Bulldog Tag Team
British
Collection.
Bulldogs. Wow.
And then a little newer era for Morecheeese.
Yes. Oh, I was so in love with them.
Sting.
An actual human. An actual human. It's rare, but there are some actual humans I think are attractive.
What do we got here? We got a little
Sounds like you
punching
two
arm
need to
Jake the
organise
Snake
a
Roberts.
play date.
I could play with these all day, all freaking day.
Yeah, so yeah, they're just kicking around. So
so
we got a bunch of
cool.
those. Let's see, Big John Stud, Junkyard Dog.
Junkyard Dog. Do you have the parrot? Who is that? Coco Beware.
Yeah, the Birdman, Coco Beware.
Nice. Wow. Look at you. I'm
let's
so
see.
jelly.
What do we got? Ricky the Dragon Steamboat over here.
Oh my gosh. Wait, there was
The dynamic team of Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
the Brett Michaels. He's just a boy toy. Boy.
Oh yeah, that was a solid song.
He's a sexy boy.
So yeah, I've tons of the old stuff. Yeah, just pull the crate up. We got some of the original G.I. Joes and some original Star Wars guys.
You know, I had the G.I. Joe, that huge fort. How old was I? I was about 11 or 12. And what the frig was it called?
Now, are we talking about the aircraft carrier?
But it was like, it looked like the Pentagon.
Oh,
but you could
that was
open
one of
it
the.
up and like there was stuff inside and it was huge.
Yeah, That's the Cobra Terradome. It had the thing that opened and a little plane came out.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
so
awesome.
cool. So
Yes,
freaking
yeah, I had
cool.
that one. So yeah, G.I. Joes probably are my number one. My
Yeah.
number one childhood was the G.I. Joes.
Because they can
And
move everything. The knees, the arms, all their
yes.
joints.
So Hasbro has totally set their hooks. That's a lot of what you see behind me. They've come out with G.I. Joe classifieds, which are essentially 6-inch super detailed versions of the 80s G.I. Joes in
That's
numbered
big.
box, beautiful packaging. So let's see. We got some of these guys. We have some in the box now. So we have the Cobra Commander here.
Wow. Look at that.
And
Beautiful.
one of the Cobra guys, highly posable. But yeah, if you see the detail, and it's pretty funny. The Cobra Commander, if you remember, he always pointed at everything. So they actually switchable hands so that you can put the pointing hand in there. But yeah, let's see. I'll pull some of these. But they
Look at that.
they
Oh
set
my
the hook
God.
for us FT collectors. If you see with the boxes, they number the side. They put the attributes of the character, some beautiful box
Wow.
art on the back.
How do you
You
not
know, we have
like
Roadblock
even-
here, who is an 80s guy. And then to set the hook, also, you know, Hasbro knows what they're doing. You have to make them in slightly different uniforms with different
Mhm.
shin guards so that freaks like me have to buy both of them.
Classic.
The silver gun and the black gun.
My brother
so-
and I used to go on these expeditions with our GI Joes to save, like we had different objects to save the Christmas tree, or save our dog, or save the food in the kitchen kind of thing. And it was so great because like we could make them like kind of move and everything, and it was so cool.
Yeah, these guys actually have their chest bends down here. It's pretty amazing, the articulation on these.
And then me being the business lady
Yeah.
I
We
am,
have-
I made tiny money for them.
Nice.
Look
It's
at the dog.
Snake Eyes with his wolf. Do you remember Snake Eyes had his wolf? And you actually
Yeah.
can switch on the angry face to the wolf if you would like to.
Wow.
About the heads. And talking about your little money. Let's see.
Oh, look at me see.
So I don't know if you remember Destro from G.I. Joe with the silver head. Hasbro went ahead and made a pimp version of Destro. And he actually comes with some flaming little money that he can hold
I love it.
while he wears
Look
its
at
cheetah
that.
cape. So Profit Director Destro with the gold foil. They really picked him out. So
That's
yeah,
so
if you
cool.
see as a collector, you know, you're meant to line these up on the shelves. So they really know how to set the hook.
Do you remember this old? Do you watch Seinfeld?
Yeah, I did. It's been a while since I rewatched
It's been
any
a
of
while,
them.
but one of my favorite episodes was when Jerry was dating this lady who had a whole collection of toys, right? And when he saw her, he couldn't pay any attention to her. He just wanted to look at the toys and play with the toys. And some of them were out like yours, and some of them were in packages. And he went to open a package. She's like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, but I want to play with them. And she's like, no, these were collections of my dad, and I'm holding him, blah, blah, blah. So he got Elaine to come over and have dinner with them. And they got her really drunk on boxed wine, and they spent the whole night. George, holistic. I have all of the Seinfeld pops. I have all of them. I just can't display them yet because I have no space. But once we get because my husband has an office here, but I want my own office because over here is like the bedroom, and I do my best work at night. Like I do all my best art at night, and I feel so bad because he has to wake up so early to go to work. But yeah, they got her really drunk, and they played with all of her toys. They took it out, they put it back in when they were done, and they did this until she figured it out and broke it off with him. I gotta find you that episode.
Yeah, I buy two with my GI Joes so I can play with one and keep them in their packs.
Does your wife play with you, or does she just like
No, luckily she doesn't ugh, but yeah, I'm in my own little world down here, but she is quite accepting.
That's good. That's
Nice.
really good.
How is married life treating you?
Good. Yeah, it's been good. It was an eventful year all the way around. So the summer was pretty crazy. We talked about some changes converting to the metaverse full time, and then we purchased a house not too long after that, and got married 2 months after that. So it's
Crazy year.
it's pretty crazy. We just got back from our honeymoon, but yeah, it's going really well.
Where'd you go?
We actually just took a little drive down to Myrtle Beach from
Nice.
where we're at. So I've talked about it in the news before. We have a pit bull that's pretty old that we didn't want to leave alone, so we road tripped it up one last time, basically. So it's kind of put a limit on what we could do there.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are great, and yeah, she's wonderful. Not just putting up with my nonsense, but being supportive. She's my editor, so
Nice.
does much more than just put up with me. And
It's good to have that support.
yeah, our whole friends group is essentially the crew that I call Red Planet Industries. So it works out well all the way around.
I like to see her. I like that I saw her in the comic book. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was
I like
cool.
that.
Yes,
that
yeah,
they
that is her
love you.
voice in that one little line. So
You're lucky that they love you so much, Mars. See, I remember it. Like I really dig it. I'm so glad you guys are gonna come out with something at the end of January.
yeah. So yeah, just moments like that, when I look back on just the things that we do here in the metaverse and just how cool it really is. Here I am. My job is making a comic, and it really is with my friends. I get to include my wife and have her do voiceovers in the same comic book as professional actors, like Mark
you're
Boone
lucky.
Jr. and
You're very lucky. Because my husband
so
won't even let me make him a wallet. He's like,
So,
just
yeah,
do it, just
it's,
make me one. And I'm like, you gotta look at it. You gotta see the process. And he's like, yeah, he Uggs. He Uggs.
Nice.
yeah. So it's things are surreal, but that's why I love the metaverse.
Nice. Is there anything else you needed to touch on, Cheese?
I think I'm done. Actually, we had you for 2 hours.
Yeah, we have taken up a lot of your time.
How long is this gonna last for? And I'm like, oh, they never last an hour.
Yeah, 30 minutes or so.
Another lie.
No, I think the three of us could talk all day. So
Yeah,
it's
most likely.
no problem. I planned for a long one. Obviously, I broke out the props and everything.
Nice. Yeah. Oh God, I want to see all of them. But maybe another show will come in and just
Yes.
maybe your show soon, and you could just go through
Yes.
all of them.
There
I
you
have to have
go.
Wine and Cheese on the Mars show.
Yes.
Sounds
I
good.
believe I do have a title. I believe it's going to be called Mars Madness.
Nice.
Perfect.
I like it.
And that's probably a good segue. If people want to keep their finger on the pulse of everything you're getting yourself involved in or have planned, what's the best way they can go about that?
Right now, that's really a good question. That's one of the things I got to get centralized on here in the new year. But really keep your eye on my Twitter. I'm not super active on there, but anything important will pop up. The Metaverse Discord is a great place to find me. And I am also in the Green Rabbit Discord. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some things up and running. But really, the best way is just to reach out to me on Discord, or keep your pulse on Twitter. I'll try to get better on keeping the world informed. I really just been kind of working in my projects for the last few months, but it's time to start having a little more fun on my own.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Well, we need to thank you for jumping on board to wrap us up for 2021. And I think we're good. I think we're ready for you to wrap us up, Cheese, in your own particular style.
Well, you want to wrap us up, Mars? Just tell everyone
There
to
you
get
go.
the hell out of here.
Oh, I don't know. I think you're better at that. I got all the intro duties. You give them hell here.
All right, get the hell out of here. We're done.
Go ahead, get your pinky up. Talk wine and cheese, motherfucker. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Talk wine and cheese, motherfucker. Go ahead. up. Go ahead, get your sexy up.
Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Cheese in the house, get up, get right. Hit you with the hairbrush, hit you with the knife. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Hit you with the knife, flying through the sky. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Cheese in the house, get up, get right. Hit you with the hairbrush, hit you with the knife. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Hit you with the knife, flying through the sky.
Time for wine and cheese. Wine and cheese. 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 Time for wine and cheese.
Right, sickos. Okay, for this episode's challenge, follow the link to the Metaverse Discord, then drop a post in there that tags Morecheeese. Also mention you heard me on the Whine and Cheese show.